Okay. Hi, my name is Nathan. I am currently not in Dubai, so mind the whole uh, quality of the video. But yes, so let's get this started. I saw the points that needs to be acknowledged while making this video. The first point is various investment vehicles and financial markets available to investors. So, in the questions, I believe the first question, we made a global diversified portfolio. It was all equity, and the idea of how it works, like having the returns on display, how average daily returns are calculated, and how you use those as your base funders to finding out, the PEs, the EPSs, to finding out how the financial information that normally you would find in Capital IQ or any other data sources, how it's done is what I understood, I guess. Uh, and then markets available. So question three, the last question. Over there, fine. I believe the market that I chose was Japanese, and uh, the reason I chose Japanese was because uh, recently there was this news about how the borrowing rate in Japan has increased from from zero, almost zero, to 2 point something. I believe 2.4 or something like that. And the reason why is because Japanese market hasn't always been the best, and they wanted to tackle that situation. But doing so might have caused the entire world's economy to fluctuate because a lot of companies, a lot of institutions, and even countries themselves borrow from Japan due to its 0% borrowing rate. So they normally get the highest gross return. But since this happened, there are a lot of collapses that were there. And I thought it was interesting to bring up that market. Uh, then the next one, what do you call? Measuring risk and return characteristics of securities and portfolios. So this, I believe, is mostly with question one. I believe most of the points are primarily focused on question one. Question one, another, what do you call, something that I noticed, or like something that I developed a lot better was quite literally trying to impute the covariances, the correlations, and how do you use that covariance correlations to finding out what strategies to implement. So whether you need to go with a low risk or a risk adjusted return based strategy that uses Sharp, that maximizes on Sharp, or whether you should go with something that that provides more diversification and lesser risk, and like those certain key aspects as to how you need to get in there. How do you need to find the formulas to work to work yourself to those formulas? That was probably my learning point. I was very confused with a lot of these Excel formulas that I was seeing for the first time too. But I learned on the way. I would like to say that I did use GPT to help me figure out what these formulas meant. But I think that was like my learning point. Uh, then what else? What else? What else? Modern portfolio theory. So, I mean, the theory was diversification. And like I said, how do you tackle investment strategies? And some of the investment strategies involves diversifying. So modern portfolio theory basically talks about like increasing your base returns using the what do you call using the way of diversification. So global diversified portfolio, that was the question one again. The whole point was to tackle different industries so that if any chances of any risks that were there in one industry, you can basically mitigate it by getting into, not mitigate it by, you will most likely be able to reduce it by getting involved in another industry. So yeah, uh, fixed income securities and ability to price bonds. So pricing bonds, I mean, I didn't do much in that for the whole question one to three. There was mostly IPOs and what do you call? Yeah, the equities and Japanese market equities as well. So like very less on the bonds part. But like again, like we all know how bonds work, right? It's you take the best way to find out a bond's prices while is by basically taking the cash flows, future cash flows of the interest and what redemption value you might get out of it and discounting it uh, based on obviously time value principle. So yeah. Then what else? What else? What else? 5 minutes is not enough for all this, by the way. Uh, Different techniques. Well, again, like I mentioned, Sharpe ratio was my primary based principle because I believe every company has a Sharpe ratio analysis, and I thought, why not do it for almost all my questions? So yeah, and behavioral biases. Again, there was very little on that topic for the whole question-based scenario, but again, herding is probably the most common behavioral aspect when it comes to this topic. Okay, so that's my understanding. I did cross 5 minutes, but yeah, anyways, that's it. Thank you. Cheers.